Welcome to the Great American Collectible Show, seen Wednesdays on the Sports Collectors Daily Facebook page and the Great American Collectibles Facebook page. You can also listen to us on iHeartRadio, Pandora, and Spotify. The Great American Collectibles Show is brought to you by the National Sports Collectors Convention and Sports Collectors Daily. Tonight's headlines are brought to you by Sports Collectors Daily. For all your hobby news, features, and more, go to sportscollectorsdaily.com. And now your host, Tom Zappola, and Red Sox Hall of Famer, Rico Petrocelli.
What's that?
Sir.
Huh? What's that?
I was on when I was in the Army.
You were never in the Army.
1964, folks. Ready to go to Vietnam.
Wait a second. Hold on.
See what I mean?
No.
He never believes anything.
I know.
I was in the Army Reserves at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri.
All right, what's the backstory? You and Jim Lomborg did nothing except play baseball.
No, that's not true.
What was the deal?
Basic training.
Yeah.
Basic training in
How about bivouac? Did you ever do bivouac?
What's that, camping?
What happened?
Nothing.
What did
The colonel says, if you guys win this basketball thing, because they used to bet.
Yeah.
And he says, you don't have to go to bivouac. My eyes went, what's that?
So you swamped them.
Because in Brooklyn, we used to
Play a little basketball.
No, we used to really camp out all the time. So anyway, we won. I was an animal.
Oh, yeah. All right, welcome to the Great American Collectible Show. Tom Zapp and my good friend, Red Sox Hall of Famer, Rico Petrocelli. Got a good show today. This is a show for intelligent people. That's
You
what
want me
you're
to leave? Is that what you're saying?
This is a show for people that are intelligent collectors. And if you're not that intelligent, you can become intelligent after you pay attention. Right?
Absolutely.
All right, we've got three great guests.
Yeah.
We got Joe Orlando, Executive Vice President of Heritage Auctions, Tom Ruggie from Destiny Wealth Partners, investment guru, and we're going to bring in, along with Joe and Tom, Ezra Levine from MASCOT, the CEO, new startup company, already going great guns. How you guys doing? All of you together.
We're great.
Doing great.
Everybody's good. Joe,
Good to be here.
everything well? You're okay, Tom? Everybody good, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Let's talk to Ezra first. Ezra, out of the gate, I know you're doing some work with Tom right now, and you and Joe have worked in the past. Can you tell our audience what MASCOT is and all about?
You got it. Yeah. So MASCOT, it's a relatively new platform we launched actually at the National last year. What MASCOT allows you to do is to inventory your collection, but also to list items for sale across multiple platforms. Right now, we're fully integrated with 7 different secondary market channels. So you can take one item, list it to 7 different channels all at the same time. When it sells on one platform, we automatically remove it from all the other platforms. So no more double sales, no more manual delisting. The concept is to get the most eyeballs on your items that you want for sale across fixed price listings, and to really remove a lot of the work and the tediousness that is associated with listing on these channels.
So basically, you can eliminate. Well, I'm using eBay as an example, and I don't know if eBay is one of your platforms, but you don't have to go through the work of listing on eBay and all that stuff. They can go right through you guys.
They would come to MASCOT. We have integrations with all the major grading companies: PSA, CGC, Beckett, SGC, Tag. All you do is you enter in a serial number, and everything about that item pops up, right? So anything that's in the CERT database on these grading companies will automatically pop into MASCOT. Oftentimes for newer graded stuff includes high-res front and back images. Scans is a real pain point for a lot of people having to take high-res scans.
Yeah.
So this is something that you just plug in a serial number, everything pops up. One click, you can list it on 6, 7 different channels at the same time.
At the same time. That was the question.
That's great. Yeah.
So it's saving people a lot of time. We're seeing really strong results that if you list on different channels at the same time, you're maximizing eyeballs, you're selling more, and there's no added work in doing so.
Tom, now you're working with Ezra right now. Can you kind of walk us through what you're doing with MASCOT?
Yeah, what I'm doing at this point is just using the inventory system. It's a phenomenal system, and we've loved it so far. And part of my intention is because of being a set collector, an autograph set collector, sometimes I have to buy multiple cards to get the one card that I want. And so I don't really have a good process of, if I buy if I buy a set of 100 cards at a heritage auction and I only need one or two of them, what am I doing if the other 98? Am I relisting them in an auction or whatnot? So the intent is, especially on my 52 set, that I've got, probably 150 duplicates. My intention is to fully utilize Ezra's system to be able to list some of those on the various listings as well. One question for you, Ezra, that I picked up in something you said is fixed price. So does your system, it's a fixed price versus a bidding process?
Yeah. So as of right now, you can list on 6-7 different fixed price channels at the same time. We are working through a potential auction solution as well. As of right now, auctions can only be launched on eBay. You can launch an auction through MASCOT on eBay, and you'll have full customization. So you can say, hey, I want it to be a 3, 5, 7, 10-day auction. I want my starting bid to be this, etc. So you can launch auctions through MASCOT only with eBay at the moment, but we are going to be integrating other auction channels as well.
Yeah,
Joe,
but it's a very cool system. I mean, I think it's going to be great to ultimately have MASCOT to inventory all of the cards that I have. So I'm pretty excited about it.
Joe, what about your thoughts on the whole concept?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the wonderful thing about the current state of the hobby is that people have so many options. And as Ezra mentioned at the outset, if you're trying to manage all of these different platforms, you've got, especially on modern cards where things can be really volatile. In the NFL, it's a week-to-week thing where guys get hot, guys get cold, guys get injured. So being able to manage everything from one system, I think, is extremely helpful, especially on the modern side of things.
Well, no, it's just so it doesn't. What's the word? Compete with the auctions. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, that's a good question, Ezra. Are you in fact competing with a Heritage or a I don't know,
all of them,
any of them?
I would say no, right? I mean, I think, our platform right now is designed for primarily fixed price listings, right? We're best known for people who want to list across secondary marketplaces for fixed price. And a lot of people, what they're doing now is they're listing across different channels, but they're doing the same work twice, right? So they'll create a listing on eBay, they'll create a listing on Whatnot, they'll create a listing on MySlabs, just go down the list of all the marketplaces. That's a lot of work and very time consuming. And if a sale happens at 2:00 in the morning, you're sleeping, it's very possible that same item could sell, on multiple marketplaces. And if it does, it's now a knock against your ratings, your feedback. You're now perceived to be a troubled seller because, you're not able to actually ship that order or fulfill that order. So MASCOT allows you to maximize eyeballs without, any of the pain points associated with maximizing eyeballs. What Joe mentioned I thought was really interesting, particularly on modern cards. We're seeing, such volatility with modern cards. That speed, right? Speed from both grading to listing is so crucial. An amazing stat that I heard recently was that between 30 to 40% of inventory that's graded winds up on a secondary marketplace within 3 months, and about 80% of graded items wind up in a secondary marketplace within 12 months. So what's crucial is that people are typically grading with the intent to sell or to list. Which is why MASCOT, in case you didn't see the news, MASCOT partnered with CGC, and we rolled this out last week. Essentially, what that means is when you submit your items to CGC for grading, and we're hopeful to do this with other grading companies as well, on the order submission form to CGC, there's an import to MASCOT button. So when you submit your items to CGC, you connect MASCOT to CGC, items get automatically imported back into MASCOT, and then can be relisted for sale literally within seconds after getting your serial number back from them. So a really cool integration where we're just looking to streamline the process, looking to speed everything up, right? It's all about liquidity and it's all about speed.
Just
We got about a minute left.
No, just quickly, how do they get to your website, to MASCOT?
Yep. So our website is withmascot.com, WITH mascot.com. You can find us on all social media platforms at withmascot.
Before I let you go, Ezra, one last question. Using Tom as an example, do you have the capabilities to seek out a card for a member? Tom's looking for a Joe Smith signed 1952 Topps, doesn't have one. Can he reach out to MASCOT and you can possibly see if you can find that card for him?
It's a great question. So we've done two things in this front. One that's not been yet released. The other thing we've done in this front is, I know Joe Drellick was on this platform last about MASCOT. We've partnered with a lot of the big trade shows. So the Philly show was our launch partner. We're doing them again next week. Dallas Card Show, the Burbank Card Show, other announcements coming soon on that front as well. But essentially, vendors at these trade shows upload their show inventory to MASCOT. They tag it with what booth they're going to be in, and they can also link their own website, their own eBay store, their own Instagram handle, however people are able to contact you. And essentially, through MASCOT, you can search for trade show inventory digitally, right? So you can look at MASCOT and say, hey, I'm looking for a 1952 Mickey Mantle. Who at the Philly show has a 52 Mantle? It'll tell you exactly what the dealer name is.
That's great.
Find them.
That's
So
very cool.
that is our first foray into the ability for us to really help collectors and buyers of inventory find what they're looking for.
Perfect. His name is Ezra Levine. The name of the company is MASCOT. Ezra, we wish you the best, man.
Good luck.
Sounds like a great concept, and we'll see you at the National.
Terrific.
Right.
Will.
Actually, Rico is even going to be there this year.
Yeah, I'm going to be.
So, Orlando, real quickly, you get an extra 2 people. It's your turn this year. Just thought I'd bring that to your attention. All right, Ezra, take care.
Ezra.
All right, Ezra Levine, nice kid.
Oh, great.
Nice kid, really.
But-
All right,
What? Didn't understand one word he said. Ezra, could you send me a copy of I'm going.
you see,
Yeah,
guys,
yeah.
you
What do you
understand.
say?
Both of you understand now. All right, you understand.
You got to realize it. I'm a senior citizen.
All right, let's get to Joe. Right out of the gate, I'm going to ask both of you guys this. Take your time answering it. Your take on the PSA SGC deal. Does it affect the hobby? How's it going to affect the hobby? Are we talking here the beginnings of a monopoly? Are we going to see class action suits? I'm going to just throw it out. And I know there's certain questions that you guys comments you can and can't make. That's all well and good. But I'm going to throw it all out to you. Tom, you're first.
I'll go first. Okay. So from a pure collector standpoint, I never really considered SGC a big player. I was a little bit shocked to see the percentage numbers of cards that run through SGC compared to PSA, but probably more importantly to me, compared to Beckett, I was shocked to see that Beckett only did like 4%.
4%. Yeah, I was shocked at that too. Actually.
So I mean, again, as a collector, I would have put PSA as the leader by far, with Beckett number 2 and SGC. When I'm looking at things that I look at, autograph cards, whatever it may be, I'm automatically already discounting the value in SGC. So I think it's somewhat surprising, but is it creating a monopoly? I mean, to some extent, I think PSA already has a monopoly, hopefully they're able to bring on. Hopefully it's going to be accretive to PSA from a standpoint of bringing on some good additional graders and also quickening the turnaround time on what they do, because again, as a collector, and I'm anxious to hear what Joe has to say, but as a collector, dealing with all of the grading companies for what I do it's been pretty cumbersome. So I hope it's a good thing for everybody.
I mean, it's a big acquisition. It really is.
Well, SGC is.
Yeah, I mean, actually, they're right down here in Florida.
Such Gus. What the hell is it?
Hey, Joe, what is your take on this acquisition?
Yeah.
Well, prepare to be disappointed in my answer. I look, when the news broke, I had a lot of people reach out and ask about what is my take, what do I think, and I mean this sincerely. I think it's kind of pointless for me or really anyone else to speculate what's going to happen 3, 5, 7 years down the road. What we know right now is that they're going to run, we have to take them at their word, but they're going to run them independently. And if anything, having the resources and the backing of collectors would help SGC to have more resources, more access to more, capital, that sort of thing to help improve their infrastructure. So they say they're going to run them independently. At the moment, it's business as usual. And look, working at Heritage, we primarily use PSA, but we also use SGC. And for us, it's business as usual. Nothing changes in the short term. It would be kind of silly for me to speculate and pretend I know what's in the minds of the people who are now running Collectors and PSA. Only they know what their intent is or intentions are down the road. At this moment, they're going to keep going, forward with SGC as its own independent grading service. And again, hopefully inject them with a little bit of resources and capital and keep PSA separate. We'll see where this goes, but I know there's a lot of emotion out there, from different collectors, and it's, we're in the passion sector, right? Like there's
Sure. No, that makes sense.
connected to what we do, and people have strong feelings. But I would just, again, suggest that at the moment, for people not to overreact and not to speculate too much, just because we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen years down the road. At the moment, they're going to keep them separate and keep going forward. So from a Heritage vantage point, we're going to continue to do what we do with both companies.
From a hobbyist, from a collection standpoint, Joe, and listen, when you were there, everybody knows, and which is the same situation today, a slabbed PSA card in a 5 is worth significantly more than an SGC card. Okay, we all know that. Is there a possibility now, because of this merger, that the value of an SGC card is going to kind of come up a little bit? Is that a possibility? Like, is an SGC4 going to be worth 6 months from now more than that same card was worth 3 months ago?
Yeah, it's a great question. What I would say is I don't think the acquisition necessarily changes that. The only thing that matters is market share and demand, right? So if there are more people that want one brand versus another, then that's reflected in the prices realized. So, for example, I think it was in January. I haven't looked at the February numbers yet, but in January, I think PSA graded something like 1.2 million cards, and SGC was a little over 100,000. There's just a gap in share, but then different grading services have different strengths. They have different, sort of target audiences. So the only thing that matters is ultimately it's the collectors like us on the call here. It's how many collectors want to buy one brand versus another. I think, ultimately that's the only relevant question is can SGC take more share as a result of this and get more people to buy their product regardless of the addition of resources. So in any event, that's
good. That's a good answer.
Yeah, but I think that brings about the question of on a go forward basis, because you can't really do it on a look behind basis, but on a go forward basis, would a new authenticated SGC card get the same kind of the same weighting as a PSA? So as an example, I've sent a number of cards that are SGC to PSA to get reslabbed, and they frequently get turned down. Like autograph cards, because I collect autograph.
Yeah, that's
cards.
interesting.
And again, it's going to be interesting on a go forward basis to see how if kind of the gap between the two closes because of the newfound relationship with PSA.
All right, listen.
Can I
you
make
got
a
30
statement?
seconds.
No, after the break.
Oh, yeah. All right, listen, we're going to take a quick break. We've got Tom and Joe in the house. We're going to do an On Deck with Rico later on in the show. We come back. We have another Gax moment. Aren't you excited?
Boy, yes.
It's another Gax
I
moment.
love Gax.
Hang in there. We'll
I'm
be
going
right
to
back.
buy one, they say. It's at one of the stores somewhere.
Since 1996, Brian Drent and the staff at Denver's Mile High Card Company have led the charge in the collectibles hobby. Mile High is a full-service dealer specializing in buying and selling cards and offers a competitive consignment program for all collectors. Whether it be their computerized want list service, appraisals, or auction services, Mile High has it all. If you've been searching for a company with a selection of high-grade vintage 1888 to 1970 baseball cards and memorabilia that shares your passion, aim high, mile high. Go to milehighcardco.com or call 303-840-2784 for more information.
For more than 30 years, Robert Edward Auctions has been the industry leader when it comes to helping you realize the most money for your baseball cards and sports memorabilia. In addition to their unparalleled reputation for honesty and integrity, they reach the largest number of bidders in the business and offer lower seller's fees, as well as generous cash advances up front on your valuable material. Contact them today at 908-226-9900. That's 908-226-9900 or at robertedwardauction.com.
This is Brian Drent, president of Mile High Card Company. Is your sports card and memorabilia collection properly insured? For easily replaced personal property, homeowners insurance is all most people need. But for prized possessions that you may have spent a lifetime collecting, it doesn't go nearly far enough. Collectables Insurance Services has been insuring for over 50 years. They offer a full range of protection and a $0 deductible at an affordable rate with no appraisals required. I know because they insure my collection. If you have a minute, go to collectinsure.com and learn more about insuring your personal card or memorabilia collection.
Hi, this is Dan from Memory Lane Auctions, here to remind you that the renowned Memory Lane Collectibles Company has served as a beacon of light to the collecting community for the past several decades. Indeed, folks, it has been our utmost privilege and pleasure to provide the most enthusiastic collectors with an abundance of the finest sports cards and memorabilia for America's most coveted sports personalities via our world-class auctions. Whether you choose either a private sale transaction or the auction route, Memory Lane cordially invites you to reach out to us to maximize the value of your prized possessions. Also, it is not just sales that we pride ourselves on being the best of the rest, because if you are seeking a particular keepsake for your esteemed gathering, we will be relentless in our quest to find that special piece to fulfill your collecting dreams. So no time to wait. Reach out to us today for the purposes of capitalizing on our unparalleled marketing capabilities. Simply pick up the phone and dial 877-606-5263. That's 877-606-LANE, or find us on the World Wide Web at www.memorylaneinc.com. Now is the time for your valued consignment to ultimately become another one of Memory Lane's record-setting prices.
How would you like to own the bat that was used by your favorite player when he hit that towering home run or game-winning base hit? Now look no further than JT Sports, specializing in the sale and authentication of professional game-used bats. As the official authenticators of professional model game-used bats for PSA DNA, JT Sports will guarantee the authenticity of any bat purchased from them. JT Sports also buys and sells game-worn uniforms, gloves, and baseball equipment. The unique quality of the collectible is what JT Sports is all about. Give them a call at 609-487-8003 or check them out at GameUseBats.com.
Okay, we are back, and we are chatting with Joe Orlando and Tom Ruggie. By the way, they're going to be with us for the entire hour, right till the very end of the show. East Coast Sports Marketing and Hunt Auctions are pleased to present the Philly Show. The Philly Show from Friday, March 8th to Sunday, March 10th. It ends this week, held at the Greater Philadelphia Expo Center Hall in Oaks, Pennsylvania. Shop over 250 of your favorite hobby dealer booths on over 100,000 square feet of sports collectibles heaven from the 1800s to the present day. Major sports houses and third-party grading and authentication companies are on hand to assist your collecting needs. The Philly Show is family-friendly, and all kids 10 and under get in for free. Autographed guests include Super Bowl 52 Philadelphia Eagles Championship Reunion Show, Super Bowl 52 MVP Nick Foles, Super Bowl champ head coach Doug Peterson, Brandon Graham, Jason Peters, Trey Burton, as well as Baseball Hall of Famers Frank Thomas, Robin Yount, and I believe now there's a couple of other players that they just signed. For more information, go to thephillyshow.com. Remember, since 1975, the Philly Show is where it all started. Okay, it is time for another Gax moment, brought to you by our good friend Paul Borges and the staff at PB Collectables. Go to pbcollectables.com to find that special card or piece of memorabilia. This week, I want to talk about the cap that came full circle. Several months ago, my wife Ellen and I, along with Rico and his wife Elsie, were invited to the induction banquet for the Massachusetts chapter of the Italian American Hall of Fame. I was on the board of that great organization for several years, and of course, Rico is an inductee, as well as the national branch. Ellen and I were unable to attend the event because we had a commitment in New York. Rico and Elsie decided to attend. The inductee for this year was Red Sox minority owner Tom DiBenedetto. After the induction and banquet, people were mingling, and Tom walked up to Rico to say hi, but also had something else to say. He said, I have something for you, and I want to give it to you. Now, the backstory. We're going to go back 57 years. And if you see this image, Rico caught the game-ending pop-up from Rich Rollins of the Minnesota Twins to essentially win the pennant for the Red Sox. After he caught the ball, all hell broke out on the field. The fans just emptied the stands. Rico was trying to get the ball to the winning pitcher Jim Lomborg, who, by the way, won the Cy Young that year, but could not reach him. As you can see, Rico was almost lost in a sea of fans. In the meantime, he was holding his cap with his other hand so that nobody would grab it. Needless to say, he took his hand off for a few seconds, and some teenage kid grabbed it off his head and ran into the crowd. Rico was ticked off, to say the least. Now we're going to fast forward 57 years later, and Tom DiBenedetto said to Rico, here you go. He hands him the cap and says, I was a 17-year-old kid that grabbed the cap from your head. Think about that. A future Red Sox owner was the teen that stole Rico's cap. Rico was flabbergasted and accepted the hat, of course, with many thanks. Rico brought the cap to the studio to show everyone. In the midst of the excitement with the staff at the studio, this old guy grabbed the hat from Rico and raced out of the building. The cameras got a picture of the guy, and he reluctantly returned it. In my opinion, though, with this image, the cap looked better on this old guy than it ever looked on Rico. And that's another Gax moment. What?
The hat shrunk 5 or 6.
See the way it looked?
I know you were the old guy that did it,
but you saw the way it looked.
I know. You know why? Somebody said, "Hey, that might be worth some money." Ooh, here he goes. Look it out.
That was funny.
Now
Actually,
that was an amazing story.
That picture, I am going to have that picture framed for my office.
Okay.
The hat, and you guys can't see it now, but you'll see it tomorrow night. The hat looks like a little beanie on me. Rico's head, your head must be so big now compared to. I mean, it's unbelievable.
All the steroids and stuff.
Oh, is that what it was? The steroids. All right. Listen, we're going to get
Great
back
story.
to both Joe and Tom. There's a couple of questions. Rico, do you want to ask a question?
Well, I wanted to ask, and you said you basically asked it in the. But should they? In my opinion, I've been in business too for like 40 years too, 3 different companies. But if PSA or SGC goes into PSA, in other words, they just make it one company, what will happen?
I want to ask Tom this question, Tom. This is direct.
What will happen to the hobby, and what will be the story? I mean, would they be that big to have real
to
problems?
control the market?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
And Tom, I'm not going to ask Joe to answer this. I'm going to ask you your thoughts.
Yeah, again, my thoughts are that PSA already controls the market, and yeah, again, I was shocked with the such a small amount of market share that Beckett has, who again I consider to be the number 2 player, but I guess I was wrong in that assumption. But I I think this move certainly does put PSA controlling the market. I think that the broader thing that I get out of this is just just showing the growth of this industry as a true business.
Absolutely.
And even the discussion with Ezra and what he is doing, and of course I read about all the various auction houses, and obviously including Heritage, and what the growth has been, and I mean this has become this collectibles business has become a major business that's getting recognized by private equity companies and investment leaders as a true business, and
which we're going to talk about shortly.
Yeah, and from PSA standpoint, I would have to imagine that the bigger picture for them is to create themselves into a bigger, more marketable, even better branded company with probably some form of an exit strategy down the road to create value from what they're doing. They're looking to grow this business.
I know Orlando is he hates to hear this stuff, but I'll say it. If you really think about the last 20 years in this hobby, Joe, you really not single-handedly, but you were steering the ship about taking this entire hobby to another level. And I'm just telling you this. I think Tom agrees with me. Everybody
Absolutely.
I ever talked to agree with me. You should be proud of that because you almost single-handedly did it. I know you had some great staff, but still, man, you took it to a whole nother level.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
right.
That's a big thank you, man.
Well, I want to ask Tom, could you tell us about Scorecard?
About my scorecard?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So my scorecard is it's a 10-question scorecard, and the quick story is it was designed around being a longtime collector myself and building up a multi-million-dollar collection, and coming to the realization that I haven't addressed everything that I need to address from a standpoint of what ultimately happens to my collection. And so I developed a scorecard looking at what are the things, if you have whether it's a multi-million or 100 million or even less than $1 million collection, but you have a valuable collection, what are the things that you ought to be paying attention to? Things such as best way to acquire, best way to value, properly insure, how to track the provenance of what you have, which has become an extremely important factor. Obviously, the provenance. Sidetrack that I told you, Tom, when I gave you that Kirk Gibson photo. It's not PSA authenticated. I got it myself. I framed it myself, and so to some people that doesn't have the same value because it doesn't have PSA, objectively saying that that's a valid autograph. So provenance has become a key issue. And then again, what's close to my heart is kind of the succession plan of what happens to the collection. And I developed it really as a piece that I give away. I don't try to generate revenue from this. I really want to have a piece that will help any collector. Of course, my collection sports memorabilia, but it could be anything else, any other collector, but to help them to understand things that they ought to be looking at if they have a collection of value.
Joe, you were you're an executive vice president with Heritage Auctions, and you see with just using the platinum auction recently as an example, you deal with a lot of high end collectors. Do those collectors look at their collection as also part of their investment portfolio, or do you ever discuss that with with collectors?
I would say it's mixed. And I certainly would. I love what Tom is doing and this whole subject. I've been at Heritage now for about a year and a half, and I think I have at least one conversation a week with someone who is finally sort of deciding kind of later in life, what do I do? Do I continue to manage my collection in a more sort of organized way? Or do I part with it? Is there a succession plan like Tom mentioned? I mean, these are really important issues, and I'll be frank with you guys. I don't think collectors think about it enough. That's just my personal take, being a collector my whole life and working at PSA for all those years, working at Heritage now. I don't think enough collectors take it seriously. I mean, there's a lot of, no matter how much money you have in your collection. I would say this, and I'm joking about both myself and most collectors that I know. I think we would probably not like to admit how much of a sort of a percentage, how high of a percentage the collection value is versus our net worth. We probably, because we're collectors and we're passionate about it and it's something we love to do, collectors tend to put a lot of their resources into their passion. But yet some of them don't take it as seriously as they should. So it is a very interesting subject to me. I think that more people need to plan, more people need to think through this, because there are those that have incredible collections in terms of value, and they've decided, they're going to the grave with it. And I think that's a mistake. It's just an opinion, but I think that's a mistake. I think you need to plan for it, because when it is handed down to whether, family, whatever it is, they're not always equipped to deal with it. They may not have not only the passion for it, but the experience or the knowledge to handle it the right way. And it opens up opportunities for, quite frankly, bad people to take advantage of those situations. So anyway, I do think it's a very, very important subject.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. No,
with my collection, with my personal collection, I look at it, and I'm agreeing with what you're both saying. I keep two spreadsheets. I have my investment portfolio with the same investment guy we've been using for 20 years. He's a wonderful guy, does a great job. And then I have my collection portfolio. And I know that, like, when the time comes, me personally, I'm not going to hand off my if my kids are not interested in it, which I don't think they're going to be. I'm not going to hand off my collection portfolio to my investment guy, because he doesn't know anything about it. That's where I would hand off. Here's my investment portfolio. What do you suggest? And a guy like Tom say, here, Tom, here's my collection. What do you suggest? And I think that's what a lot of collectors should be looking at right now, because unless you're a financial guy and a hobby expert, then maybe you can blend everything. But I think most people are not. And I'm using you as an example.
Yeah, I was going to say, my side, 4 sons, and I spread out a couple of things for them last year. Gave them the bats, the World Series bats, and All-Star bats, and other things. So my thought was, if I have anything, I'll give it to the kids.
And they're interested in it.
Yeah, they happen to be interested.
That's the difference.
They're interested in it because of the...
Well, of course, what it's worth.
I want to say one thing. See that picture behind Joe?
The one on the left?
Red Sox, yeah. See, now when he goes on a show with Yankee hosts,
he changes it.
He changes it to DiMaggio, and then the Indians, he changes.
That's what he does. Richie.
I know, Joe. Yeah, Richie.
No, push a button. It just changes out. On the
Joe, by the way, that picture of Ruth, when we did the book, we worked together on it. That was your idea, and you came up with that concept. And I don't know if you know this, but I think how many were made? 100 or 500 to give out?
Yeah, I think it was like 500 or 1,000, something like that, of those sort of commemorative cards.
I have, of the 500, I think I wound up with the last 100 or 75 of them. I give them out as gifts. Honest to God, to collectors, and they're thrilled with it.
That's nice.
It's the Babe Ruth card that never was. That's what we called it, right?
Yeah,
If I recall. Is that the original? Who has the original? You?
No. You know who actually? I shouldn't say. It's not my place to say, but someone you know very well bought the original in an auction actually, and has it in his office. It looks great, but this is just a copy.
I would love to get my hands on that bad boy. I really would.
I was thinking of something. Joe, Tom, and all the auction houses. All you guys are collectors and still collecting, right?
Correct.
Would you tell collectors, young or old, vintage or whatever, what you're collecting?
Oh, that's good. Yeah. Do you share that information?
Yeah.
I this is also kind of an interesting subject. I love sharing what I do with people. I'm kind of an open book, and I think because I want people to know, it's like, going back to my PSA days, I never wanted people to think I was just a suit. I've been doing this my whole life. I have the same love for this stuff that the customers do at PSA, and now being at Heritage, I feel the same way. It is interesting though. Some collectors are very private. I think it's changing to a degree. You see, especially as it relates to celebrities, more famous people.
Sure.
They're more willing to share, and I think that's helpful. I love to see that when someone who has a following or a big platform, if they're willing to share what they're doing, it sort of gives the kind of the regular guy, the regular collector, more of a reason to share what they're doing. I think it gives them a little bit more confidence about what they're doing. So not all collectors are the same. There are still those that are very, very private about what they do. But I know this may sound like a funny thing to say, but it's almost like, and I'm saying this with a smile on my face because I'm a collector, but sort of geek culture, nerd culture.
Absolutely.
We all have a little nerd in us. We collect this stuff, but it's become more accepted, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
30 years ago, it wasn't. So I think that's played a role in it as well. So to answer your question, Rico, I'm an open book. I love to share what I collect. I have my collection. I don't shove it away. Again, people are different. Some people keep it away. They don't really look at it. I have all my stuff, pretty much 90% of the stuff that I own, out so I could see it and touch it. That's the way I look.
Great. Yep.
All right, listen, we're going to take a break. Joe and Tom are in the house. We come back. We're going to come right back with On Deck with Rico, and then we're going to finish out the hour with these two gentlemen. Hang in there. We'll be right back.
Pristine Auction is a family-owned and operated online auction specializing in autographed memorabilia, sports cards, coins, art, and collectibles. Since their founding in 2010, they've grown to 2 facilities in Phoenix, Arizona, totaling over 60,000 square feet. Jared Cavalier and an incredible staff of over 150 team members serve a very large customer base and enjoy every minute of it. By working with leading authentication companies, Pristine ensures all items are 100% authentic. In addition, third-party authenticators regularly travel to Pristine Auction to provide authentication services on site. Pristine Auction strives to operate its business in a way that's honoring to God, their families, and their customers. With a strong focus on speed, quality, and premier customer service, their mission is to be the leading online auction for every level of collector and fan. Pristine also works for Hope Sports and Identity Hoops International, traveling to Mexico to build houses for the less fortunate. Pristine Auction offers several online auction formats with thousands of auctions ending each day. For more information, go to pristineauction.com. That's Pristine Auction, the best in the business.
If you're a discerning collector interested in owning the most important pieces in the hobby, look no further than Leland's Auctions. The original sports auction and appraisal house, Leland's was established in 1985 by legendary Pioneer founder Joshua Leland Evans. And today, President Mike Hefner carries on the tradition. From the Tom Brady card and memorabilia collection to the famed Boston Garden Auction to high-end card auctions from every major sport, Leland's has always maintained the highest standards. Go to Lelands.com and get your bid in. That's Leland's, the hobby's leading sports auction house for 4 decades.
It's often been said that championships are won on the practice field, and world records come only to those willing to work harder than everybody else. Heritage Auctions is the world's largest collectibles auctioneer because we believe that becoming the best is only an invitation to the challenge of remaining the best. This requires the skills of the hobby's top experts, capable of identifying and maximizing value for our consigners. It requires the most visited website in the industry, courting a global audience of collectors over 1.5 million strong. It requires a dedicated press department that expands our global reach far beyond the entrenched hobby marketplace. It's hard work, but a simple premise. Present the finest collectibles to the largest population of potential buyers, and world records will come. We invite all listeners to put the unmatched power of Heritage Auctions to work for you. Auction evaluations are always free, and our commission-based fee structure ensures that our interests are always aligned. The highest possible price for your collectibles. There will always be new world records to chase, so let's chase them together. Visit our website at ha.com and request your no-obligation review today.
Hi, this is Dan from Memory Lane Auctions, here to remind you that the renowned Memory Lane Collectibles Company has served as a beacon of light to the collecting community for the past several decades. Indeed, folks, it has been our utmost privilege and pleasure to provide the most enthusiastic collectors with an abundance of the finest sports cards and memorabilia for America's most coveted sports personalities via our world-class auctions. Whether you choose either a private sale transaction or the auction route, Memory Lane cordially invites you to reach out to us to maximize the value of your prized possessions. Also, it is not just sales that we pride ourselves on being the best of the rest, because if you are seeking a particular keepsake for your esteemed gathering, we will be relentless in our quest to find that special piece to fulfill your collecting dreams. So no time to wait. Reach out to us today for the purposes of capitalizing on our unparalleled marketing capabilities. Simply pick up the phone and dial 877-606-5263. That's 877-606-LANE, or find us on the World Wide Web at www.memorylaneinc.com. Now is the time for your valued consignment to ultimately become another one of Memory Lane's record-setting prices.
Hey, I'm Mike Petroselli. If your company is looking for the best in marketing and promotional items, you'll hit a home run with Petroselli Marketing. With over 8,000 suppliers and 650,000 imprint-ready items, we can get your company the visibility it needs to get your maximum exposure. Whether it be office promotions, wearables, automotive, sports items, and everything in between, Petroselli Marketing can do it all. Our design staff will even work with you from concept to delivery and customize your products. At Petroselli Marketing Group, we will get your brand in front of your audience. Contact us at info@petrosellimkt.com or call us at 603-880-3202. That's Petroselli Marketing, where no dream is impossible.
Yeah, give the kid a break, will you? You know, he has clients all over the country, and they do a great job. I started it in 1999.
Excuse me.
And he took over.
I have a Little Smiles pen. I do not have a Petroselli Marketing.
What do I have?
TD Bank.
Yeah. Well, because I go in there and
you're cheap.
I steal you a little bit. But no, give him a call because they do a great job. Their company, they have
Michael does a great job.
So
sweatshirts, anything for corporate. He's got it all. He does a great job.
Yeah, he's a good kid. And he's going to take care of his father.
All right. It's that time.
I know.
It is that time. Time for our segment On Deck with Rico, brought to you by our good friend Brian Dwyer and the great staff at REA Auctions. Don't forget to get your bid in by going to robertedwardauctions.com.
Your questions answered On Deck with Rico Patricelli.
I didn't even hear that one. Did you? You ever hear that one?
No.
Me either. All right, here's our question. This question was submitted by Pat Palermo. It's a good question, Rico. I don't think
it's a woman, too. You told me it's a lady.
I didn't ever ask you this question. And guys, feel free to jump in here. Did you and Luis Aparicio work well together? Because you moved, when the Red Sox asked you to move to third, they brought in Louis.
Right.
And number one, you guys work good together as a team? And number two, how good was Louis Aparicio?
Well, Louis a Hall of Famer, and in his era, he was the best shortstop. I mean, he was like 5'8", 5'9", a kind of thin guy, but excellent bat. Hit the all fields, but he was a great fielder. I mean, he was he could really pick.
Was your style and his as a shortstop very different?
Yeah. Mine was just he caught the ball. I didn't. No,
stop.
No, well, all kidding aside, he was a great guy. I mean, when I heard we were going to get Louis Aparicio, I said, I'll move over to the third.
Well, what was the backstory? Originally,
they were looking for a third baseman because I probably had a few more years at short. Couldn't get one at the winter meetings.
They tried to get who?
Ron Santo.
Right.
They thought the Cubs would part with him, but I mean, he was just great. It was last couple of years of his career. By the way, I went 0 for 32. He went 0 for 44.
Did he really?
He got a letter from Richard Nixon. This is the truth, encouraging him to stick with it.
Did he go 0 for 44 with them or with
us?
you?
With us.
Oh my God!
Yeah, they had to send two people with them going home over the bridge.
You guys have any shortstop or third base questions for Rico at all?
Yeah, right.
We good? All right. Let's get back to Joe. Joe, you just recently completed your platinum auction, a blockbuster auction, that unopened O-Pee-Chee box. What did it go for? Like 100 million, 300 million? What did it go for?
3.72, but close.
3.72 million. A wildly successful auction again. So what's 2024 looking like? Major auctions coming up. What's kind of like the overview of what the rest of the year is looking like for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, we've come out of the gate really strong this year, and that was, I believe, our biggest February platinum night that we've ever had. So it really, outperformed expectations, and there were, as you know, I mean, we don't have to rehash it. There were numerous records in there all over the place. So we're actually doing, there's another one right now that ends the 22nd and 23rd of this month, the card auction. We're actually doing more what we would classify as big, I'm putting that in quote, bigger auctions this year. We have more. So we did January, February, March. We consider larger scale auctions because we have different levels to our platform. We have platinum, we have showcase, which is lower. We have stuff in between, which is our traditional catalog auctions. But the demand is there. The market is still, very strong. Every market segment goes through ups and downs. That's what a market is, right?
Sure.
Things go up, things go down, things go sideways. But overall, the interest is still tremendous. And so
it is.
We think looking forward, we're very, very excited about 24.
It's really amazing with COVID. The industry
Everything.
grew, and now let's face it,
The
with
economy.
the economy now, and we don't know, blah blah blah, and it's still growing. I mean, this is an incredible hobby.
Yeah, it really is, man. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Which is great.
I don't know if there's no rhyme or reason to it, but it's really, really. I mean, Tom, you're seeing that on your end too, right? I mean, you haven't taken a step back as far as your collection, what's out there to buy. What about, and also, are you getting much feedback from these high-end investors that are looking to put a game plan together at some point?
Yeah, I'm getting some good feedback from some high-end investors. There's definitely a need for it, and I think there's a demand for it. But I'll give an example of a non-high-end investor, but a true story that's just happened very recently. I got contacted by somebody who her job is to take care of people's houses, like if they have a second house in the mountains or whatever. And she's been taking care of this elderly gentleman's house for quite a number of years. And she has a 14-year-old son who has an interest in baseball cards. And this guy is giving her 15 boxes of baseball cards. And the son's going through, and as he's pulling them up, just in one box, he's got like $9,000 on eBay value. Of course, I'm not sure if he's accounting for condition or whatnot, but why I bring that up is because that's the sort of thing that happens that is part of what I'm trying to help people with and even help myself with, because, as all of you know, and people listening may or may not know, but I've got a large autographed sports cards collection. My son has absolutely no interest in it. And I say this as a something that realistically could happen, is that, he could have my baseball card sitting there and a buddy of his comes by and says, "Oh my gosh, I'm a Yankees fan. That's a Mickey Mantle card." My son's the kind of kid that would be like, "Here, take it.
You can have it."
And what I'm talking about is my 1952 autographed Mickey Mantle card. And, the point of what I'm trying to get across and help people with is if you don't know and understand what you have, and you don't understand what your game plan is going to be to ultimately get rid of this, you potentially have a problem there, and it's something that ought to be addressed.
Bob Cousy, of course, the Celtic great, he sold his collection, I don't know, thousands of dollars, and he gave it to his grandkids to go to college, for college education.
Joe, didn't you guys handle that? Did you guys handle the Cousy auction?
Cousy.
You know what? It may have been before my time. I think
they did. I think Heritage handled that. Okay. Right. We got about 3 minutes left. We're going to see you guys at the National. I'm looking forward to seeing both of you. Tom, you're going to be there, right?
Of course.
Yeah, we're going to see. I'm going to see if I can get you guys. As a matter of fact, I can plan on it. Getting you guys up on stage with Rico and I, because we're going to be doing a special 2-hour show on that Friday from 1 to 3, and then you're signing right after that.
Yeah, and he's going to buy lunch.
I'll be more than happy to. So we look forward to seeing you there. To our viewers and listeners, we haven't had a chance to thank all of. We announced it there. We mentioned you, but all of the sponsors that donated items for our auction, we can't thank you guys enough.
Yeah.
Auction was wildly successful, and we had fun. And
what a great
Rico,
time.
I'll tell you, both you guys, when Rico is in front of an audience, his A game kicks in. You really had him howling. You were pretty funny.
It's a funny thing. You all of a sudden you're going to speak, and you got some
Just
stories.
like Tony Bennett. You know what I mean? Like that's what it is.
Tony Bennett.
Yeah, when Tony Bennett
speaks,
when they got him on stage, the lights went on and everything went on. When he was back off stage, he was a little
quiet guy. I mind my own business.
All right. Hey, Joe, your website address?
To go straight to sports.ha.com.
ha.com. And Tom? Tom, you've got 400 different. Where can people?
Yeah, so actually, my personal that goes directly to me is destinyfamilyoffice.com.
So that's where you want to go if you have a collection and you're ready to spot with it.
I'm really great. I'm really grateful and really happy to know these guys, get to talk with them, and then see them at the National. I mean, all the guys. We get along great, and they're not only knowledgeable, but they're fun
and they're pro.
Really is good. Really,
we got 30 seconds left, Tom. When we see you at the National, you need to talk to him about his personal collection, and we've got to get it out of his bedroom closet, out of his basement drawers, out of the attic. Out of the trunk of his car.
I got a picture with me, Pete Rose, 75 series, both signed. And when we used to play the game, who was up? We put on the bat. So I got one of those.
And it's one of one signed. One of one.
Yeah, I got to sign.
All right, guys.
I told him 50, 100,000.
Yeah, you could have it. All right, guys. Thanks so much, both of you, Joe.
Thanks, guys.
And Tom, Joe. We'll see you. We'll talk to you probably before June, but looking forward to seeing you in June. Got a list of places for you to try. List of places.
It'll be a blast. Great.
With that being said, we love you guys. Thank you all for your great support, and we can't thank you enough.
The sign. Oh, the picture's starting to go.
Look at that. He's got the Yankee picture. With that being said, happy collecting.
Hey, Joe, great to see you.
Take care.
Thanks. Bye, guys.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.